3 weeks to the exam, and you're like, someone says something and you're like, what? And you're like, is this the same brain that is going to do the bar exam? Because I really wish I had such content when I was doing my bar exams. Hi guys, welcome to Redefined Gospel YouTube channel, where we are thriving in Christ. This channel seeks to link the word of God to the contemporary times and ultimately ensure that we are thriving in Christ. In addition to doing faith-based content, I create content around law and personal development. So if you're interested in all the three categories, faith, law, personal development, or two of them, or one of them, kindly do subscribe, hit on the red button, written subscribe, and then click on the bell and click on the option also to get all post notifications each time I upload. If you are a returning viewer, I think you enjoyed watching the videos and then you got lost into it and then you are like, oops, I've not subscribed. Kindly do subscribe. In 2022, we are saying we are subscribing as we watch the content. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And without further ado, let's get straight right into today's video. So before I delve into today's video, I feel like in 2022, it has been like a roller coaster here and there. Like it's already past 2 months. Today it's the 6th of March, which is the day I'm thinking this will go up. So help me God. And I think I have only had 3 videos up and it has been just a roller coaster. I feel like I'm in a good place right now. And I really hope that I keep on with the momentum of recording videos and putting them out and putting out valuable content for you guys. And because today I'm doing a Kenya School of Law related video, I also want to mention that I'm so grateful for everyone who watched my previous videos talking about my bar examinations revision strategy. I got a lot of email responses, like every week they just add to the pile. I've not even gone through this week's pile, which is quite a lot, almost approaching to 20 like in a week, which is a lot. And I'm so grateful for you engaging with that content and really hope that it is helping you if you are in that season of the bar exams. I think right now people are doing their bar exams in the last week of March, I think 31st March, around them. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I really hope it really helped you in putting up a strategy that fits you. And so today it's another Kenya School of Law video. I have other pre-recorded videos, but I thought this will be really relevant to anyone who is about to do their bar exams. So I thought, let me record this and put it out. So thank you so much. And then my voice is a bit hoarse. Today Sunday and I led praises in 2 services, and so then I feel like my voice is a bit hoarse. I hope it gets better. Even as we continue, it may get worse, but bear with me guys. So yeah, I think everything is out of the way. Let's get straight into today's video, which is actually how many tips are they? 15 practical tips for navigating the bar examinations revision period. And I'm talking about the revision period between 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week days to the bar exams. That period, practical tips that help me, or tips that I wish I had. After the period, I was like, I wish I knew this, I wish I did this. It would have made it simpler. It would have made it even easier to navigate this period. And so then I'll be sharing the 15 practical tips for navigating the bar examinations revision period. So yeah, let's get straight into those tips. So the very first tip is be yourself and remain to be who you are and how you have been tailor-made to be. I know it looks like, oh, that's so vague, but let me explain. You see, as human beings, we have different settings, or I think there are people who thrive so well in the morning, there are people who thrive so well in the evening, there are people who thrive so well in individual reading, there are people who thrive so well in group discussions. But because of the anxiety that is associated with doing the bar exam, sometimes you feel like you just need to modify yourself into a whole new person so that then you can fit into what other people are doing. So there may be tons and tons of group discussions, tons and tons of people who are discussing in groups. And that's not just you. That will not enable you to get whatever you need to get to comprehend all that you need to comprehend within that short period of time. So go on with what works for you. If you are a morning person, don't insist about staying up late until 1 a.m. doing nothing just so that you can say you are up until 1 a.m. And it looks like, oh, who would really do that? But there's that pressure. And I remember, and I'm going to continuously give these tips with my own personal examples. I remember when we were starting to do, around that period, I felt like I needed now, like past 8 p.m. to start study until 11 p.m. because I knew other people are studying within that time, and because I felt like I needed to modify myself in this season to be who I wasn't really, and that way I wouldn't even get maximum benefit. And it took some waking up, pinching myself and being like, Anne, you are a morning person. And so for me, immediately it was like 7 p.m. I sikuwa any book, but I will make sure I am asleep by 8:30 or 9, and then I'm up maybe at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. and I thrive so much between that 2 a.m. all the way to like midday 1 p.m. I thrive a lot. So then I would take advantage of that. And then I also realized towards the 3 weeks or the 2 weeks into the before the bar exams, I realized that group discussions were really not doing it for me. I realized that just going to our group discussions and regurgitating what we have been studying, and I'm going to talk about that a little better later on. And a little later on in another point, but I realized that wasn't working for me, and so then I just moved into individual work, just doing it alone, and then there was this program which I would encourage you if it will benefit you, but there was this program that the school started off, which was where some lecturers could come and teach it was like 2 weeks to the bar exams or something of that sort. I realized that based on where I was staying and based on how I had tailored my revision timetable, it wouldn't really fit, and I decided I will sit down and just do the study myself. So of course there are people going for those things, and you just have to be in a place of being very self-aware and remaining who you really are. If you cannot transnight, don't force it, because at times it feels like, oh, I need to go this extra mile, but going that extra mile doesn't mean you have to change the core of who you are. So keep on doing the things that work for you. If groups work for you, well and good. So there's no like one answer, like should I do group discussions or not? If you doing your individual study works for you, then go ahead and do that. The second point will be sieve out all the reading materials you're getting, and you don't have to go through every single material. Here's the thing, when you're approaching 3 weeks to the exam, what happens is there will be so many reading materials that will be thrown at you left, right, center. So if you make it your prerogative to be going through every single reading material, you will get frustrated. And so then it is important to know what are the core reading materials for each and every unit. And I think I shared that in detail in my previous video. I talked about my revision strategy, and I broke down each and every unit. So I broke down civil litigation, criminal litigation, each and every unit I broke down with the reading materials that I think would be appropriate. And so sticking to that, you don't have to read every other article that will be sent, every other thing that is sent. You really don't have to. But that doesn't mean you should just be blind to everything. Just go through the material, and by virtue of you knowing what is required in this unit, you may know whether it will be important for you or not. Not every reading material is important. If anything, the proliferation of all those reading materials may end up giving you more anxiety than is necessary, really. So I think it's really important to sieve out those reading materials and just to concentrate on the core reading materials for each and every unit, and making the course outline your friend, so that then you're not reading up and above what you're supposed to be reading and not really concentrating on what you should be reading. The third thing is avoid time-wasting revision strategies. Now I'm going to give my own example. I am this person who, even if I'm reading a PDF material, I always love to write short notes, which is a great practice, because as you write, then you're able to comprehend more. That's how my brain works. So I remember something like commercial transactions. It took me a bit more time to go through some topics, and then by the time it was reaching towards the bar exams, I realized that there are some units I hadn't really had proper short notes, like financial services and payment systems and all those things. So I realized that I really have 4 weeks or 3 weeks, and I really can't sit down and write the notes. For me, it felt like a time wasting strategy. So I decided I'm going to print out those PDF materials, and then I'm going to write on top of, like, write short notes beside, the PDF material. It don't even make sense. And then I'm going to write down separately some questions based on what I'll read. Then I'm going to attempt them maybe after a week or 2 weeks, and that's spaced repetition. And I have a whole video where I've talked about law school study techniques, from active recall to spaced repetition, all those things. You can go ahead and check that video. I'm going to link it up here down on the description box and on a pinned comment. So it was really important for me to realize this doesn't work right now. It's 3 weeks to what I am supposed to be emphasizing on is comprehension and not really having those short notes. So the shorter route to get there, I take it, and that's it. Sometimes you may realize that there are like 4 topics you have not covered, and it's 3 weeks too. Then you don't need to go have a separate, because at that time when it's 3 weeks too, the 9 units, you have 24 hours. You need to sleep well, and I'm going to talk about that later on. But you need to sleep well, you need time to unwind and all those things. And so then it is very important for you to ensure that you are not employing strategies that are wasting your time. So you may decide, oh, I'm going to go through all the past paper questions for these topics I've not covered. Then I'm going to use that to revise these topics. So it is important for you to always be, and I think this just brings me to my next point, but always be in this mood of constantly reviewing what you're doing. Is it working in terms of the time that you have remaining, so that then you're not engaging yourself in time wasting strategies. Other time wasting strategies, maybe you may join a group discussions where you guys have started topic 1 and you're starting with what is civil litigation, and it's 2 weeks too, and you have other topics to cover. So you may decide, oh, I think I know that topic, I don't really need to join that group discussion. So that's examples of some of the time wasting strategies that you may engage in. So avoid any time wasting strategy that is not efficient. I think that's the word. Non-efficient or inefficient, really. Inefficient revision strategies. Just avoid that and try to review, is this taking me a step closer towards the comprehension of this unit, or the comprehension of this topic, or being comfortable in answering any question in this topic? And if it is not, then you need to reevaluate yourself. And that's why I think I believe it's important to have these reviews every day, because you have like 3 weeks, so you have to do it every day. You don't wait like the way we wait for a whole month to review. No, every single day, at the end of every week, you can even take Sunday to say, oh, this week this is what I had set out to do, so this is not really working, so I need to readjust my next week this way. So it is important to always review. Don't just go marking in the darkness and not really knowing where you are at and what is working for you so far and what is not working for you so far. The next point, number 4, is, even as we talk about revision strategy, this is the time to ensure that you are timing yourself and trying to get yourself into a place where time will not be a disadvantage for you in the bar exams. And I know I'm going to talk about time. I'm going to talk about how to manage your time in the exam room in next week's video. Actually, next week's video, I'm going to be talking about tips for navigating now that the bar examinations week and doing the questions and that period, and how it looked like for me in next week's video. So you need to subscribe. But I think this is the time for you to look at timing. How fast are you in drafting a notice of motion? How fast are you in drafting this and this thing? You can also, at the point where you'll be comfortable with most of the topics, you can also take just one past paper, sit down and assume in the exam room and attempt that paper and see, am I able to do it within the 3 hours? And you're able to do this and this is for anyone who's watching this and you're not doing their bar exams like in the next 3 weeks or so. You're able to do that if you have been constantly studying, doing the notes, employing all the techniques I've talked about. I realized, I think, over 20 videos on Kenya School of Law. All those things you've been doing, so that then you even have time and the luxury of timing yourself. And practicing drafting. This is the time to practice drafting without looking. This is not the time of looking at, notice of motion is take notice that. No, this is the time to sit down and draft that really quickly and say, I can really draft. If I'm told to do a certificate, a notice of motion, a supporting affidavit, I'm able to do it within the shortest time possible, because you have 3 hours in your exam, and I don't want to get into the details of the exams because that will be next week's video. But you have 3 hours of the exam. You have about maybe 5 questions, or how many questions were they? It looks like it's years back and it was just, last year, June. But 3 hours is 180 minutes divided by people, like 36 minutes. So you can even try lower, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so that you are in a place where you're comfortable even with your speed as you do your bar exam. Number 5, and related, I think, kind of with the previous point, is past paper questions. Make them your friend. In these last 3 weeks, this is the time to go through all the past paper questions. For me, I went through from 2015 all the way to the people who did in 2021 or 2020, like the last sitting before our sitting, went through all those papers in each and every unit. I made sure that is something that I made sure I did before I went to the exam room. And then for things like legal practice management, as I had told you in the previous video, I had like accounting topics divided, and I had under each topic I had written which particular question tested that topic, and then I went through all those questions and attempted them. Those ones mostly I did in a group setting. And so it is important for you to go through the past paper questions, because as I said in my previous video, and I have said it in other videos, chances are some questions will be repeated. Well, not in the exact form, but this aspect may come and this other aspect may come, and you don't want not to take advantage of something that is right before your eyes. So this is the time to go through your past paper questions. And as I said, if there are topics you're not comfortable with and you realize going through all that, maybe the statute will take you more time and will be inefficient, then you could go ahead and look at the past paper questions. What did they test in this unit? And then read using that and try it, so that then you're using less time and getting more done. Yeah, I hope it makes sense. Does it make sense? If these things are making sense even as I continue, kindly do comment down below with your takeaway points. I'd really love to interact with you in the comment section. And as I always say, in case you want to reach out to me in case of any question, although sometimes they take longer to reply, feel free to email me at info@njoroge254 for also more faster replies. Instagram njoroge254. I always make sure to drop you a voice note with a response to your question. All right. So the next point, number 6, is employ more active recall and tightened spaced repetition techniques. And I know for someone who has never had that, is like, what? And I have 3 weeks, 4 weeks. What are you talking about? But when you're talking about spaced repetition and active recall, I have a whole video and it's not so long, so you can go ahead and watch that. But it's more of employing techniques that enable you test yourself for active recall. So you need to organize your timetable in such a way that, for instance, if this week you're studying something like citations in probate and administration, then next week but one, at around this time, you could put citations, but it won't be studying for citations. It will be like a small exam or CAT for you. So as you're studying, you write down the questions that you may have. Not you may have, but questions that are likely to come, like what are the grounds for citations, what forms do you need, how do those forms look like, something like that. And then now next week but one at this time, you'll just sit down and try to answer. Chances are you won't be remembering everything, and so then it will be an opportunity to be like, I think I'm really forgetting this, and it's easier to recall. So then when you'll be going to the exam, it will be very easy for you to recall. And I employed this technique majorly in LPM, the theoretical topics. It really helped me because it's more of points, having those points when you're asked what are the features of these, what are things like those. So And then now spaced repetition is that where you space your repetition, because studies show that, you know, the more you see something, the more you study something, the more it gets retained in your brain, unless you're this genius who just sees something and you will never forget in your life. Now if you're not that, and you're like me, your spaced repetition enables you to just space your repetition, so that you're not repeating a topic right now and then in the evening you're like this and this and this and this. Of course you'll remember everything, but will you remember it next week? But one, that's why you do that, so that then you may have it more ingrained in your brain. I've talked more about it in that video, so I won't belabor on that point. The next point is number 7. I think I've talked about this, but constant reviews. Constantly review how you're doing, how far you've come, what you need what you still need to study, how you're going to move forward. And the reviews have to be every day. You can even do after every 3 days. So then you're in a constant review mode and saying, oh, this will not work, so I am changing and adjusting. Because this is the very first time you're doing a bar exams. This is the very first time you're in this season, and you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know exactly what works and doesn't work for you. And so then it is important to review and be in that state of constant review, so that then you're not doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not effective and efficient. Number 8, surround yourself with positivity. I know this now has turned into a motivation talk, but you guys, there's so much negativity that comes with the bar exam. This exam is just like any other exam, and I know you are like, no, the other exam was not for me to get admitted as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Yeah, I get you, but you really need to go with a mindset that it is doable. You really need to move in a way that you're not moving as if you're already defeated. It really plays a role in how you're going to carry yourself 1 week to the exam, 4 days to the exam, 3 days to the exam. And you really need to surround yourself with people who, you know, are very positive about these 9 P's being doable. People who are very positive about being able to achieve whatever goal you have in each unit being possible. So it is really important for you to be in that space, to surround yourself with people, and to surround yourself with even thoughts that you know, actually implore on you that's the word, implore on you that it is really possible. And I think I wanted to say this at the beginning of this video, that it is so normal to feel anxious. It's so normal to feel like you don't know anything. Like, I remember sometimes it's 3 weeks to the exam and you're like, someone says something and you're like, what? And you're like, is this the same brain that is going to do the bar exam? It's so normal, and people go through that. So rest fast in the assurance. Oh god, my notes zimeanguka. But rest in the assurance that it is so normal to feel anxious and to feel like, when I'm not prepared, it's so normal. Even that day of the exam, it's so normal to feel that way. But you have to balance it out with calmness, because if you're always anxious, you will jump from one unit to another unit, one topic to another unit. You will be in all group discussions, you'll be in all online sessions, and you won't even have time to have your own personal time to comprehend things, because you are everywhere. You are doing everything. You are trying everything. You are translating. You are waking up in the morning. You are not being yourself, and it will really be detrimental for you. So it is important to calm down. But also, when you have those anxious moments, just know it's normal to have them. But remember, this is just like any other law school exam you did, okay? So it's not something rocket science that will come. It's those things in your course outline. So just remembering that, and knowing that if you are not calm, you may not achieve a lot. You may not be efficient. The other thing is that if you need to unplug from social media platforms, if you need to, and that's point number 9, if you need to unplug from social media platforms, if you need to be at a place where you are just unplugging yourself from certain social situations, do that. It's only 3 weeks, and you really need maximum attention. Maybe you being on Twitter, and relates to the previous point, you being on Twitter increases your anxiety levels, then uninstall that Twitter. So for me, I realized that Instagram, being a content creator, and this is my own personal story, I realized when I was on Instagram, I always felt the constant urge to post, the constant urge to create content, and I knew that was not the time for that. And so I uninstalled the Instagram, Twitter, and everything. That may not work for some people. Some people may be totally fine with all the thousands of social media platforms that we have, including maybe Tinder. But guys, if you need to unplug, really unplug and just take time. I know it's just 4 weeks, and within no time you will be talking about my exams as if it's another story, and a good story. Amen. Yeah, it's a good story. The other thing is that number 10 is that, and I think it ties out to that anxiety. Whenever you have decided, right now I've decided I'm studying civil litigation summary procedure, focus on that. Don't be like, oh my god, sijafanya, oh my god, because then it won't be efficient. So how do you avoid that situation? Brain dumping. So in case you don't know what brain dumping is whenever you feel like there's a lot in your mind, there's a lot you need to cover, write them down, write those topics down. It has an effect. It works for me. I don't know if it will work for you. You could try it, but it has an effect in ensuring that you have jotted down everything, and it's like telling your brain, I've already deposited here, and then you focus on what you're studying now. Don't be in that rush of doing everything, because at the end of the day you will have been everywhere, exhausted, but really you have not really done anything that was effective. The next point is that as you go to 2 weeks or 1 week, now start reading as per your timetable, and as per your weak areas, and as per how comfortable you are. So if it's a week 2, then you have LPM. I think this is like a kind of common knowledge, but let me say it. But if you have LPM, civil, and maybe trials nauko, then you may stop prioritizing trial advocacy, unless trial advocacy is one of the units that you're feeling like you are so weak in it, and it still needs to be a priority. So have that in mind, so that then you are organizing it in a way that you are able to navigate that season. So you may be like, there are these topics that I'm so comfortable in, I won't even touch them until the night before this particular exam, so you put them aside. But there are things that are weak areas, you put them aside, so you start with that. So it is important for you to have that in mind, and that comes with, I think, the theme of this thing this whole tips would have been reviewing where you are at, how long it is from the exam, what can I be in a position to achieve, what do I want to leave to the night before, and all that. My next tip I would say is in capital letters. I have really literally written them on my paper in capital letters. Consult. Do not tire to consult. Do not tire of consulting. Do not be tired of consulting. Really, don't be tired. Keep on consulting. Consult whenever you have a difficulty, whenever there's a question, keep on consulting. And it is really important, even consulting people who went ahead of you. Consult your lecturers. Consult. I cannot emphasize that enough. It is important to consult. The next thing is that, and it's point number 13, which is a topic like, and how can I employ this tip? But rest and have good sleep and maximum rest. And I know it looks like, oh my god, I need to operate under 3 hours of sleep. For me, what I would advise, in my own opinion, and maybe for some people it worked differently, and so that's why I always say my videos, it's not like a Bible, and it's you have to go through these tips, and if you don't go through these tips, you're not going to pass. No, I'm not saying that, but resting and having good sleep during this period, I think probably you are no longer having classes, right? So it's just studying. So you can always, if you are a morning person, you can always wake up at 3 a.m. do your study. Maybe for me, 4 hours was a good time period. So 3 hours to 7, relax. 9 maybe to 1, relax. Then 2 to 5. Then at 5 I shut down for the day. I rest. You will need that bank of rest when you're doing the bar exam, because the bar exam period is a whole story altogether, and we're going to discuss that next week. But it's a whole ball game together, and you may not afford 7 hours of sleep, and we are going to talk about why that may be the case. So then it is so important for you to exert yourself so much, but also have time to to unwind and have time to rest, so that then you don't have a build up of fatigue by the time it's now 31st of March or whatever date you will be doing your bar exams, when you, as you watch this, or whatever time you will be doing your bar exams, really, that you will not have so much accumulated fatigue, which may be very detrimental to you even as you go to do your bar exam. You may not have a clear mind and those things. So I think you don't have to operate under 3 hours of sleep, especially these weeks towards doing your exams. The next thing is have a support group, have a group of friends who you are supporting each other in this journey. No man is an island. Even if group works don't work for you, just have friends who you can call, consult, and have a conversation. I remember one friend of mine, I won't mention her name, but we used to call each other and ask us, she would ask me questions, I would ask her questions, we would talk about how we are feeling in the moment, and it was just a beautiful time, and it was so much moral support that it always made me feel like, oh, it's not only me, so that I'm not wallowing alone and be like, oh my god, I am so doomed, people are doing so well, because sometimes people will look put together like they know everything in this world. You need people to reassure you like what you're feeling and how you are at this very moment is totally normal. So for me that really helped, and it was a very beautiful way to navigate that time, especially because now we studied online, so I was at home in another county, not in Nairobi County, all the way into Kiambu County, and having that support system. That's my bottom line. Sijui counties zimekujia wapi hapa. But that's the bottom line. And then finally, if you're a Christian, pray, or whatever religion you are in, because I think for these particular videos they're usually interdenominational, whatever faith, whatever you believe. If you believe in a higher being, if you believe in God, let me say that if you believe in God, take time and pray. Take time to cast all your anxieties to Him, and He will never disappoint you. And although sometimes, and this is not a conversation to tell people going to the bar exam, but sometimes things may not pan out as you may think, I always rest in the assurance of all things work together for good for those who know God and are called according to His purpose. So just continuously pray. When you're anxious, pray, a journal, do all those things. Pray. And my prayer to God for you is that you will pass, is that you will flourish, is that you will have a beautiful revision period, and that it is going to be a smooth sail, and you will get those 9 P's. And remember to come here and tell me I got the 9 P's and celebrate with you, even if I can't put a face to the name, and you have the advantage of putting a face to my name. I will really be happy for you guys. So yeah, go here and prosper. Like naona kama mimi na release disciples, but yeah, that will be it. I really hope these tips helped you. I hope it's not obvious like, oh duh, of course. I hope there was something that stood out for you, and feel free to comment down below. I really enjoy creating this content, because I really wish I had such content when I was doing my bar exams, and that's why I create this content, so that then people who will be coming and doing bar exams, however the structure may change, that they will be helpful, and these videos will be helpful. Be sure to share it. Share it to people of your farm, of your class, or anyone you know doing bar exams, or anyone who will be who is joining the Kenya School of Law. Be sure to share it, because sharing is caring, and give this video a thumbs up, so that even YouTube may help us in sharing, and the algorithm may know that you like this kind of videos. And subscribe. Mesikia kuna content next week, and yeah, there will be more and more content regarding the legal career and my own personal legal career. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, remember that God loves you a lot. Until next time, if you're coming back for the law school video, it's next week Sunday 6 p.m. If you are coming for also the faith and personal development content, I upload those videos every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. so we can see you on Wednesday 6 p.m. Anyway, see you next time, and until next time, as I want to emphasize, God loves you a lot and He cares. All right, bye bye.